This is where we were planning to wrap up the show, but I actually, unbeknownst to you, selected a few tracks that are my favorites and also what I perceive to be fan favorites, because you selected the handful of tracks you've just played for obvious reasons, but it wouldn't be a complete show without playing a couple of your greatest hits.
All right.
Plus songs that I like. So let's quickly run through a couple of tracks that are really worth a play.
Oh, yeah. This one also has a good double meaning.
In my mind, this is the most well-known Wax Audio track. I don't know if that's right. You'd know from the views, but this was a pretty big one, right?
Yeah, for a long time, this was the most heard thing that I've ever done.
The two tunes that go to Make It Up go so well together. You'd struggle to find a place in the world where both those songs weren't known. So it means something to everybody. And they're both very danceable as well. So, you know, it went down well with the ladies as well, this tune. It had something for everybody.
Yeah. They got a lot in common, actually, these two tracks. They are sort of roughly the same era. They're sort of slightly depressing disco songs with quite heavy lyrics. Mm-hmm. And man, this was a really hard one to do. This was not easy at all. Every single beat, I had to manually move it to sync up.
But I'm guessing once you made the first few bars and worked out how good it was going to be, you couldn't leave it behind, right?
Absolutely. I had to see it through to the end, and I felt really good about it. And I put it up on Gaibo, and it got slammed by a couple of people who said it didn't work. It was completely out of key. It was shit. I should go back and do it again. Right. And I just said, nah, man, it's fucking good. What are you talking about? And they were just like, nah, don't argue with us. We know what we're talking about. Yeah. And so I felt a lot of satisfaction that it went on to get, I don't know how many millions of views on YouTube. Robin Gibb's manager, Robin Gibb was a member of the Bee Gees. His manager actually called me up whilst Robin was still alive and wanted to talk about releasing this as an official single. I said, go for it, call Roger Waters and see what he says. And of course, I never heard back. Yeah. And I believe you, whilst you were in New York, were at an exhibition at the Museum of the Moving Image and saw this as part of that.
Yeah, something like the Museum of the Moving Image. And they had an exhibition that included this video playing and a pair of headphones. You could listen to the track and a little white plaque saying Wax Audio and a little bit about the track. I was like, that's my friend Tom, which is pretty awesome. I have one great story about Stayin Alive in the Wall, and that is maybe a year and a half, couple of years ago, I was picking up my young daughter from daycare, and I brought her out, and we were getting into the car in the car park, and the car park's right next to the school hall, the primary school hall, and blasting out of the primary school hall was that track, Stayin Alive in the Wall. And I just imagine, you know, like a bunch of kind of year 5, year 6s in there, you know, learning the dance moves, the cool teacher teaching them some, you know, moves to go to this awesome mashup that they'd heard. And that was playing really loud too. And I was just like, I know that guy. Anyway.
Dude, I made that on my mum's PC in her living room in Athens 10 years ago overnight. And 10 years later, it's being blared out of a school hall next to your daughter's daycare center. I mean, it's crazy. Stuff like that is just so cool and strange and just, yeah, amazing.
Let's listen to the next track I've got. All right.
Oh, yeah. Fuck those chords, man. Get me every time.
Gets the whole world.
It gets the whole world going. Two really good songs.
Yeah. Another two fantastic songs. You and I are both huge AC/DC fans, and Back in Black is as good as it gets, and no one can just deny the feeling that riff brings about, and then you combine it with the iconic vocal style and that great song. This one must have been pretty popular as well.
I mean, mashing these two sources is pretty... I mean, there's been a lot of mashups using Back in Black, and there's been a lot of mashups using Stayin Alive.
Right.
I don't know if anyone else has tried to combine the two besides me. It seems like an incredibly obvious idea. It's the kind of thing that you almost hesitate to do because it's just so, from the mashup producer's perspective, it seems so obvious.
It's also, in a way, almost easy game because you put Back in Black, everyone's going to like it, right?
Exactly. It's easy money.
But why not do it? I mean, it works so well.
And just do it well, man. Just do it as well as you can.
Exactly. There's no reason not to.
I mean, the video has had over 50 million views, which is, I can't even comprehend.
Staggering.
50 million people. It's ridiculous.
Yeah.
So by far, I mean, that right there is the most viewed thing I've ever done. I mean, it's probably not too many people have done stuff that's had that many views.
Yeah.
It's crazy. It's crazy.
The next tune is one that is a little bit of a deep cut.
All right.
It's one that I love, and it's one that I use to get people on the dance floor, so to speak. Whenever I've played your stuff to people, especially women, and generally women often love to dance more than guys, this tune gets people on the dance floor.
I feel so much your love as I take your hand and lead you to the dance floor. As the music dies, so in your eyes, calls to mind a silver screen and all is sad goodbye. I'm never gonna dance again, guilty feet have got no rhythm, though it's easy to pretend. I know you're not a fool. Should've known better than to cheat around and waste the chance that I've been given. So I'm never gonna dance again the way I dance with you. Time can
That always gets people on the dance floor, that tune. I'm a big driving rock fan. I've never been a Billy Idol fan, but, you know, that song is undeniably driving rock. But I am a huge fan of that George Michael song, Careless Whisper. I think that's one of the greatest ballads ever written. I'm not a big George Michael fan, but I love that song. That song gets the girls on the dance floor is what I'm trying to say.
Well, it gets my two daughters on the dance floor as well. They're big fans of this one. Of everything I've done, this is the one thing they'll type wax audio into YouTube to find.
That's cool that your daughters can type wax audio into YouTube and find some of Daddy's songs. That's nice.
That's kind of nice to hear you be so reverent about Careless Whisper. I think it's undeniable that it is one of the great all-time ballads.
Yeah.
To me, it's also one of the cheesiest songs ever written, but that's not taking away anything from the fact that it is absolutely iconic. And to hear it in any rock context, I think is kind of hilarious and cool. I think you're on board straight away. I think as soon as you kind of hear that vocal come in, you're like, all right, let's do this.
Yeah, totally.